everyone, Scrappy Kathy here with Mixed Media Frenzy, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I usually keep the Mixed Media Frenzy lifts because I learn so much from trying to replicate every one of those lifts. That's basically how I've taught myself mixed media. And so I usually try to stay pretty true to the original. But today's, on the same day, day 10 of 30 Days of Sketches, has this sketch, which, you know, kind of not all that different. Instead of having this single cluster, I'm going to extend across, kind of replicating that. I'm going to have the horizontal strips and tags and a lot of the stuff that's here. And I'm going to have this folder. And I'll have my version of a circle. So we'll see. I've done a fair amount of pre-work because today is an unusual day. I'm filming this on the day that they're trying to do what they can before it rains again to prevent the water from coming in the house, and I wasn't expecting to have to get mold remediation experts out, and might possibly have to spend the night in a hotel if it's determined that special measures need to be taken. And James has asthma, and Barrett and I have been fighting bronchitis, and the mold has probably been there for weeks since the last time we got flooded. So I'm not going to talk anymore about mold, but that explains why while people were coming in and out, I've been kind of working on the pieces that didn't have to do with mixed media, and I'll show you those right now. The excuse me, the Scraptember prompt for today was 6x6 paper pads. Well, I'm cheating. I'm using an 8x8 paper pad, although the burlap that I'm using for this tag actually did come from a 6x6 pad of different colors of burlap. So I didn't cheat all the way. This is Uncharted Waters, designed by Tracy Smith for Glitz Designs. And I don't know how many of you remember Glitz Designs, but to me, they never, ever did a collection that I didn't absolutely fall in love with. Their designs were as complex and interesting as Graphic 45 or any of those guys ever wanted to be. But look at this paper. It was kind of like early Vicky Bouton. There was a lot of distressing and just interesting, stuff. The one thing that they did, oh, look at this. The music notes with this big ampersand. I didn't use those. that page. I have, I've cut little, these things out of this gray chalkboard kind of paper. And I cut cut one of my tags out of this paper. And I did that little top panel thing. I cut this sheet right there and then just added some layers to it. So you'll see that. I just wanted to show you the pad that I used. And I'm still hoarding the rest of it. And because they're, I was going to say, the one thing that they have that's a little bit not my style is everything's kind of cream based rather than white in this collection. I have a couple other collections that are white based, but I've decided to use a cream background sheet because this is why. This is my photo cluster, and I'll explain to you how I put it together. And this is the top cluster, and I'm going to put it over to the right. And this is going to be my circle, and it's going to kind of go inside the little folder here so that that looks like that. So I'm going to sit down right now. I'm going to do some mixed media on the background before I put any of this on, but I kind of want to explain what I did here, because there is a little bit of mixed media involved in there, some alterations of things. I knew when I saw this tabbed folder that I had one that had been sitting around for a while. And I also knew it wasn't exactly the right colors. I wish I could show you the back of this. I forget what the collection is, but I used my gathered twigs and this guy to kind of go over it and make it distressed and to kind of mute the colors. And I did it through this stencil to create these marks right here. And I had done the same thing to this blue background paper. I used strips. This is a Vicky Bouton paper. This pink paper is the back of one of the patterns that I used. So it's from that paper pad. And this folder is there. I put some foam in so that the folder actually stays open and it gives it some dimension. This little frame and this larger frame are from a packet of frames by 49 and Market. I have in the past said Prima, and I was kind of surprised when I looked at them today. They're based on coral and they have coral stitching, and they're just amazing. When I bought them, I thought, okay, I'm crazy and nobody's going to believe that I actually bought these for myself. But I really love them, and I'm probably going to buy some more. Now, I used the same applicator here, dipped in some peacock feathers to kind of go around the outside of this frame to give it a little more of the blue. I die cut these arrows to kind of mimic, these, to replace those. I actually think I may have ruined a nice punch trying to punch that paper, so I have some work to do after this. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Of course, I put in a couple of Dottie About Flair pieces from the Vintage Coastal, is it Vintage Coastal? Vintage something. Vintage Summertime collection that was just released as part of the September release. The photo is a photo of some people acting crazy at sunset in San Diego at the Scrap Happy family reunion, which was their retreat in July of 2017. And I look at 2017 as that last truly blissful, happy, ignorant year when we didn't know about Parkinson's or any of the ailments that later came to play such a big part in our lives. So I went out there. John had some things he wanted to do at home and wasn't wanting to make that trip. We were getting ready to do another trip after that. So I went by myself, and it was awesome. It was the first time I'd been to a retreat, and it was the first time first time I'd been to a retreat where I knew everybody there, but I only knew them online. So this was awesome. This is Alice Bowl jumping. She's jumping up in the sky, so her silhouette is against the sun. And there's April, and there's Dee, and I think that I'm forgetting who the other two are. I have to look at the unedited, unfiltered photo to tell you who those people are. But It was a fun and wonderful time. And when I saw the sunset photo in the original there, it kind of brought to mind this one. And so I'm going to try to replicate some of the colors in this sunset on my mixed media. So that goes there. This is the little top part, and I just layered scraps of well, the burlap kind of looks like fabric, doesn't it? But scraps of paper, and did a beach ball, also from the vintage, excuse me, summertime. And I put a little bit of this, the die cut. I have been calling that fencing. I'm not sure what we want to call it today. I'm going to call it netting, because I think that's what it is in the original. And I just like that there are all these colors up there. And this particular tab is what inspired my using this scrap of Vicki Boutin paper that was actually in the trash. So I'm going to put that to the side. And now, knowing where all those things are going to go, I'm just going to do some simple dots, and then we'll do a little bit of stamping. My simple dots are going to be a combination of dried marigold, which I think is kind of that peachy color that's in there, and worn lipstick. So I'm going to dip it in dried marigold at one point, and then move on to the pink and kind of overlap them in a little bit. So let me do this. Kind of, that's actually come out just beautiful. Okay, so that's good. Now let's do a little bit of pink in there. And I'm just going to randomly do these darker on some and lighter on others, and assume that the photo cluster will see how pretty that is. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And I'm going to kind of come down here and sort of do a little bit more horizontally. And I'll come down a couple rows. I'm going to do the pink first, just to make it a little different. I absolutely love how these colors blend together. And it just looks just like a sunset. These are the perfect sunset colors. I'm going to go ahead and let those go off the page, and I'll come on over here to this side and do a few more. Okay, there we go. And we have some that are sort of shadows. Now, in the original, over top of those circles, it looks like there's some kind of texty stamping sort of stuff going on. So I have a texty stamp sort of kind of going on here, and I'm going to just lightly ink it up. I forget. I don't even know which way is up, so my text may end up upside down. I don't really think it matters. It's not... nobody's gonna sit and try to read it, I don't think. So I'm gonna lightly stamp that and kind of, let me place this to see where I sort of want it. Oh, I need some dots up there, I forgot. Okay, I'm gonna move this down, and it kind of has to go like that. So maybe right in there. And I'm going to do a secondary one kind of right there. And I'll do another one kind of right there. And I need to do some dots up there. And now I'm gonna, let's see, where's my dotty thing? I'm gonna do it kind of along there. I don't think, well, let's put some pink. Okay, and it kind of blends in with those because I didn't do quite the same diagonal sweep there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and kind of place this in place, and then I'm going to work on the tags. Let me put the other thing in place. I'll do it like this so that you can kind of see the text coming out through there. Okay. I may need some more foam all the way down. I also have plans to do something something else with this, and I haven't quite thought it out, but I kind of want it in these places where the text is. I want to mash it down into some ink. And what I'm thinking is peacock feathers. Just mash it down into the ink and then come mash it down onto the page, realizing that I have some on my fingers, and it kind of gives it a, I don't know, maybe sort of a bubble wrap look. But now I'm going to go clean my fingers for the one up here, and I'm going to see if I can wipe it off onto here just using a Kleenex. It doesn't do much. Let me try this. And now I'll use a different Kleenex. I should be using paper towels because Kleenex is highly valued in this household at the moment. That still didn't work, so that's not a good idea. That is not a, this does so beautifully on, excuse me, leaving patterns in the paint when you're doing gel printing. So I'm gonna do maybe another attempt at it just to get some of that teal color there. Let me go there, and then I'm gonna do that. Now see, that came out. That's what I need to do. Okay, that came out exactly like I wanted. I like it so much, I'm gonna give it another shot over here. It still didn't, you still don't see it as well because of the other stuff that I got on there. So not a problem. It's all good in love and mixed media is my philosophy. So the next thing I think I'm gonna do is the tags. I'm gonna put this background off to the side. I'm not gonna glue anything down yet because I want my tags to go under the main thing, and then I need to see where to put my netting. And I'm cleaning my fingers, and it's approximately, okay. Let me move this off to the side. For this one, I think I'm just going to distress it with some of this. Just kind of rub this on the outside. I'm not gonna stamp on it or stencil it or anything. Although let's try this stencil. Well, maybe let's try this one. How's that? It's certainly darkening it. Oh, but look how cute that came out. That is great. I'm happy with that. Now, I'm going to stamp this one with a different stamp, and if I can find the stamp block, here it is. I'm gonna ink it up. It has a map of Paris, and the photo has absolutely nothing to do with the map of Paris. It's nothing to do with Paris, but I just kind of thought the pattern, here's what the pattern looks like in black. This is what the scripty one looked like. That's a visible image stamp. So I'm gonna do this and just kind of mash it down on there, and I'm okay with that. These two together kind of go along with the theme color-wise. So I'm gonna call it done color-wise. Okay, so going back to this, I'm gonna pull it here. I don't think I want, this has so many layers, I don't think I really want it up on foam. So that means I have to decide where and what goes under it and kind of get it there in place. See, there's not much of that shows. Let me cut some of that off and see if maybe I could make it work if it's right there. I can't keep that on the page and the other on the page. I should have just stamped over the whole stamp, the whole tag. I could turn it this way. That's kind of too abrupt and jarring there. I'm gonna raise it, I'm gonna put it up on this level, let that tag swing down, and put this one right here, and I think that's gonna work. I'm going to put this right here, and then I'm going to put this under here. I hear knocking. The contractor needs to talk with me. And so I'm gonna stop it right here. I've done everything. All I have to do is glue this down. I'm gonna stick this coming out of the folder so that that kind of stands in for the circle. And I believe I've honored the sketch and the lift, and I've certainly used a lot of things from my 8x8 paper pad. So let me make sure this is in frame. I'll stand up and check it. It probably was in frame better before I moved it. So that's my page. I'm actually gonna move this up there so that not so much of that is showing. And I'm going to use this to kind of deflect from that. In fact, I may use the longer piece under there, and maybe I'll use this one up here to kind of give it, to hide that a little bit. I'm happy with the dots, not so happy with the teal stuff that I put on top. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next Friday for Mixed Media Frenzy. Bye.